When we talk about cars that refuse to die, we're not just talking about reliability, we're talking about legends. Machines built so tough, they laugh at rust, mileage, and decades of abuse. These aren't cars, they're engineering statements that outlast generations. From frozen Scandinavian winters to scorching deserts, they keep going. Today, we're looking at 12 old cars that were literally made to run forever. Number 1. Saab 900. The Saab 900 was less of a car and more of a bunker cleverly disguised with wheels. Saab engineers, with their aerospace heritage, overbuilt every inch of it. The turbocharged engines were famous for reliability, often running beyond 300,000 miles without drama. Winters in Scandinavia? No problem. The 900 would start at -40 degrees Fahrenheit when rival cars froze solid. Even the quirky ignition between the seats wasn't just design flair, it was brilliant theft prevention. Comfort was treated as survival gear, with heated seats and climate systems that felt military-grade. The bodywork had corrosion resistance that made rivals cry, and the structure was so tight it felt indestructible. Today, finding a 900 turbo in good condition feels like striking gold. Number 2. Buick Lasaber. The Buick Lasaber was the car that quietly conquered time. It wasn't flashy, but it was unstoppable. At its heart sat the legendary 3.8-litre V6, an engine so reliable it became the choice of taxi drivers and traveling salesmen who racked up insane mileages. These sedans frequently topped 400,000 miles without drama, requiring little more than oil changes and fuel. Passengers loved the comfort. It rode smoother than competitors twice its price. The Lasaber was America's highway cruiser, built for journeys measured in thousands of miles, not blocks. Consumer Reports regularly praised it as one of the most dependable cars ever tested. Mechanics? They rarely saw them. And when police retirees and grandparents trusted one car above all, it was the Buick Lasaber. Number 3. Mercedes-Benz W123. The Mercedes-Benz W123 redefined indestructible. This car was engineered as though Mercedes expected civilization itself to collapse, but wanted the car to keep running. Doors closed with the solidity of bank vaults, and the panels were thick enough to deflect debris. The OM617 diesel engine became legendary, effortlessly lasting 500,000 miles and often hitting 600,000. In Morocco, W123 taxis still run daily on original motors, laughing at age and mileage. Mercedes engineers doubled steel thickness where others cut corners, and every component was tested until it broke, then made stronger. The irony? Mercedes lost money on each one sold because the construction was so extravagant. Owners swear the cars become more reliable with age, as though only getting warmed up. Next one is even more insane. Honda's obsession made it nearly unbreakable. Number 4. Honda Accord. Honda in the 80s was on a mission. Build cars so perfect, they'd embarrass everyone else. The third-generation Accord reflected this obsession. Every detail was engineered with ridiculous precision. Engines were mechanically simple, durable, and efficient, often running past 300,000 miles with only basic upkeep. The fuel injection was straightforward, the transmissions shifted like Swiss watches, and even weather stripping was designed to last decades. Mechanics admired them because they rarely needed repairs, and owners praised them because they never stopped running. In many countries today, you'll still see these Accords pounding the streets, long after rivals became scrap. They earned the nickname Forever Cars because they simply refused to die. Honda's philosophy back then was simple: build it right, build it once. Number 5. Jeep Cherokee XJ. The Jeep Cherokee XJ was never about style, it was about survival. With a unibody design that was stronger and lighter than traditional body-on-frame SUVs, the XJ became a legend. Its 4.0-liter inline-six engine was famously unkillable, often surviving neglect, abuse, and poor maintenance. Postal services used them, farmers loved them, off-roaders swore by them. These Cherokees could hit 500,000 miles with nothing more than basic maintenance and stubbornness. No fancy electronics, no fragile technology, just solid axles, a transfer case, and reliability you could count on. It wasn't just an SUV, it was a lifestyle. Owners formed cults around these machines, swapping stories of their survival. Even today, XJs still run mail routes and climb trails as though time never passed. Number 6. Ford Crown Victoria. The Ford Crown Victoria was the American cockroach of automobiles, unstoppable, indestructible, and everywhere. Designed to handle 24/7 abuse from police departments, the Crown Vic became a rolling tank. Its 4.6-liter V8 was understressed, meaning it loafed through hundreds of thousands of miles. Police cruisers retired with 150,000 hard miles were then sold to taxi companies, which ran them for another 300,000. And even after that, private owners drove them daily. The body-on-frame construction meant crashes didn't end their lives, just another repair job. Departments stockpiled them after production ended, knowing no replacement could match their toughness. Today, many are still running strong, a decade after the last one rolled off the line. The Crown Vic wasn't a car, it was an institution. And trust me, the next car was literally built like a bomb shelter. Number 7. Volvo 240. The Volvo 240 was built with one mission: outlast everything. When Volvo engineers designed it, they treated durability as a sacred obligation. The boxy body wasn't about style, it was about strength. Engines like the B21 and B23 were tested to extremes, often running without oil until they seized, only to be redesigned to last longer. These motors regularly achieved 400,000 miles, and many pushed past 500,000. Rust protection was phenomenal, making them last in climates that devoured other cars. Interiors were Spartan but functional, and heating systems worked so well they could warm an entire cabin in sub-zero conditions. The 240 became a cultural icon, driven by academics, environmentalists, and families who valued substance over flash. Today, finding one on the road is no surprise. They're nearly indestructible. In fact, some Volvo 240s are still hitting the million-mile club with pride. Number 8. Toyota Pickup Hilux. The Toyota Hilux wasn't just a truck. It was a declaration of war against mechanical failure. Known worldwide for being indestructible, it was famously tested on Top Gear, where they drowned it, set it on fire, dropped it from a building, and smashed it with a wrecking ball. The result? It still started. The secret was Toyota's Kaizen philosophy, continuous improvement until weaknesses vanished. Engines like the 22R and 22RE were so robust that even neglect and abuse couldn't kill them. Farmers, contractors, and even armed forces trusted the Hilux in environments where other vehicles didn't survive. Simplicity was its strength. Timing chains instead of belts, bulletproof drivetrains, and cooling systems ready for desert heat. In war zones and disaster sites, the Hilux became the unofficial vehicle of resilience. Today, they're still revered, fetching high prices worldwide. The Hilux didn't just survive, it redefined what forever meant in the automotive world. Number 9. Chevrolet Suburban. Before SUVs were fashionable, the Chevrolet Suburban was already dominating the roads. This wasn't a family grocery getter, it was a rolling fortress. Built on truck foundations, the Suburban featured massive frames that could haul entire construction crews and their gear. Engines like the small block 350 and big block 454 weren't high-strung racers. They were relaxed torque monsters, barely breaking a sweat while pulling trailers or towing equipment. The four-wheel drive system was pure mechanics, levers, gears, and reliability. Farmers, oil companies, and government agencies bought them by the thousands because they simply refused to die. Even after 300,000 miles of abuse, they remained functional workhorses. Many still run on ranches today, some with 500,000 miles, carrying hay bales, tools, and generations of families. The Suburban was never glamorous, but it was brutally effective. It wasn't just a vehicle, it was a partner in survival. And the next one takes durability to almost mythic levels. Wait until you hear about it. Number 10. Cummins-powered Dodge Ram. When Dodge introduced the Cummins-powered Ram, they weren't just making a pickup, they were rewriting truck history. The 5.9-litre inline-six Cummins turbo diesel was originally designed for commercial rigs that ran endlessly. Putting it in a light-duty pickup created something extraordinary. This engine was rated for 1 million miles in heavy-duty use, so in a pickup it was barely working. Owners routinely clocked 500,000 miles without major rebuilds. The fuel system was purely mechanical, allowing it to run on anything resembling diesel, even vegetable oil in emergencies. Simplicity and brute strength were its hallmarks. Transmissions and interiors might have fallen apart, but the engine kept going. These trucks became donor vehicles. People would buy rusty Rams just to grab the Cummins engine for swaps. Even decades later, 12-valve Cummins is synonymous with bulletproof. This truck wasn't refined, but it proved that real power lies in longevity, not luxury. Number 11. Mercedes-Benz W126 S-Class. Mercedes called it the S-Class, but owners called it a tank wrapped in leather. The W126 was peak Mercedes engineering, created before accountants cut corners. The level of craftsmanship bordered on obsessive. Doors shut with a solid thunk. Paint was layered like artwork, and engines were built to run endlessly. They weren't high-rev screamers. They were relaxed, under-stressed machines designed for 80 miles per hour cruising all day. Climate systems had redundant backups because failure wasn't acceptable. Owners today still find W126 models running smoothly at 500,000 miles, often in places where maintenance is minimal. Taxi services in developing nations adopted them because they simply refused to die, carrying passengers in comfort long after newer luxury cars broke down. Mercedes lost money building them, but the legacy was worth it. The W126 wasn't just a luxury car, it was a monument to durability disguised as sophistication. Number 12. Toyota Land Cruiser FJ60. At the top of the immortality pyramid sits the Toyota Land Cruiser FJ60. This wasn't just built tough, it was engineered for environments where breakdowns weren't an option. Its straight-six engines weren't flashy, but they were agricultural-grade durable, often running past 500,000 miles without complaint. The manual transmissions and simple mechanics meant they could be fixed with basic tools or rocks if necessary. The UN, humanitarian groups, and explorers all chose the Land Cruiser for war zones, deserts, and mountains. These trucks were shot at, rolled, drowned, and still kept running. They weren't luxurious, but their reliability was legendary. Even today, clean examples fetch high prices worldwide because they've transcended car status. They're symbols of survival. When the world ends, cockroaches will crawl over Land Cruisers still idling in the background. It was the ultimate forever car, a machine without equal in reliability or reputation. When you step back and look at this list, it's clear these cars weren't just transportation, they were testaments to what happens when engineers build for eternity instead of profit. From the Saab 900's fighter jet DNA to the Toyota Land Cruiser's unshakable dominance, each one proved that durability is an art form. They endured winters, deserts, wars, and millions of miles, surviving conditions that would destroy modern vehicles packed with fragile electronics. And here's the fascinating truth. Most of these cars weren't even considered flashy in their time. They were taxis, police cruisers, work trucks, and family sedans. Yet decades later, they're still alive, outlasting newer, more complicated machines. That's what makes them legendary. So, which one shocked you the most? Was it the Mercedes that bankrupted its accountants, or the Toyota Hilux that literally couldn't be killed? Drop your favorite in the comments below. And if you love stories about cars that refuse to die, hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and join us for the next ride into automotive immortality. Because remember, some cars are just built to last forever.